Hiya, welcome back to my channel. It's Wendy here from Toonpish Crafts and I hope you're doing okay. Now before I forget, I just want to mention that this year at Makers Central, which is May the 13th and 14th at the NEC Birmingham 2023, I'm going to be there. I'm going to be there the Saturday and the Sunday, so come and say hi. I'm just a paying guest like anyone else, but it would be really nice to meet you guys. So come and say hi to me at the NEC Birmingham for Makers Central. There's going to be tons there as well. Anyway, going back to the video, this week is a spin-off from one I did a couple of weeks ago. Now you may remember that I made some silicone sheets from embossing folders or embossing sheets for fondant. Well, at the same time I was playing with other methods to make silicone inlays, and this is one of them. Now I have kind of checked this video out, this method out on YouTube, and there has been a couple of other people that have done videos on this, but I'd already started it, so I thought, you know what, I'm going to show you because it didn't start out to be anything about silicone. It started out to be a really nice idea to get texture in your resin, and it kind of wandered off into a different direction. Anyway, I hope you enjoy this video. I hope you get something out of it. Yeah, let's have a look. So this is a stamp. Now you can buy so many different types of stamp. This is a squirrel stamp that I got from AliExpress, and I will put all the links in the description box below. And I'm going to colour it. I'm going to colour it with interference green from Let's Resin to start with. And this is my pretty much typical method of colouring. I smother everything and I take the top layer off. And that is so that I can get all the base parts covered in a particular colour, in this case interference green. Now the plan is to try and use these stamps, because I've got a few of them, in resin. Now when I was researching this, I did actually find a couple of people that had used rubber stamps in resin, but I'd never tried it myself, and like I said, I'd already started making it, so I thought I'm going to carry on with the video. So I'm using some tape to take off the top layer of the mica that I've just put on. That gives us a coloured rubber stamp at the bottom and clear at the top, so I can either put another colour on or I can leave it clear. And it takes me a little while to get rid of all the mica on the top, but the tape method really does help. Now I'm going to use some Glimmer Ghost Red from Eye Candy, and I'm going to colour him up in a different colour. Now any colour shift mica works so much better when it's got black behind it, so I will be covering this in black resin. You can cover it in white resin and you'll get a very, very faint colour, but black picks up the colour and makes it shine. So I'm covering the whole piece again in this ghost red, and I do actually go back and clean the eye completely so that the black behind will shine through the eye, and that will make it stand out, because this little stamp is quite difficult to see, especially if you don't know what you're looking at. I blow off the excess powder and I'm really happy with the way it looks, and you can see already with the black picture behind it to show out where the pattern is, you can see the difference. So this is just an old mould that I've taken out of one of my boxes. I've cleaned up the mould, it's just about the right size, and I'm going to put the rubber stamp directly into the mould. Now it can lift up, it can float. Rubber is quite buoyant, but I was really hoping that it wouldn't. I was hoping I'd get a good impression in the resin. Worth a try, right? So I'm tapping it all down to make sure that it's got good seal. It's not stuck, the back is not sticky on these. I think a lot of stamps have sticky backs. These aren't sticky, they're just rubber. They're clear rubber, but they are not sticky. So I'm just hoping that they will stay. This is another one that I've got. It's a butterfly. I'm doing the same sort of thing. This colour is bronze purple from Let's Resin, and it's a gorgeous, absolutely stunning purple colour. And as before, I cover the whole thing and take the top layer off with tape. Once that's done, I'm going to use Glimmer Ghost Red from Eye Candy, Glimmer Ghost Green from Eye Candy, and Glimmer Ghost Blue from Eye Candy. These were all in sample packs. I bought 2 lots of sample packs in the ghost colours, and I decanted them into these little tubs, and it makes it so much easier. And I use their own labels as stickers on the little tubs so that I know exactly what is what, and it's gone in my shadow foam wall so I can see it nicely. So I'm just using different colours in different places on this butterfly, and because it's a butterfly, it's symmetrical, so whatever you do on one half you do on the other. It's just lots of fun, really. So the third one I have is a horse, and I absolutely adore this stamp. I'm not really a horsey person, but I think it's stunning. So I'm going to cover it in copper. Now this is the metallic powders from Let's Resin. It's not a mica, it's a powder. And it acts slightly differently to mica powder. And I'll put a link in the top right hand corner of the first time I tried this powder. But it is stunning powder. This is the bronze colour. I think I said it was copper, it's not. It looks like copper to me, but it's called bronze. And it is gorgeous. Now when you clean off this powder, because it's not mica, it reacts to water differently. It doesn't like being cleaned off with water. It kind of smears. You can't clean it off with water, but you can clean it off with isopropanol alcohol. But the tape does work as well. So the tape is an excellent method for this as well. And I'm really loving copper at the moment. And I wanted to give it a contrasting colour. So now I've got the silver metallic powder, and I'm going to cover the rest in silver. And hopefully it's going to stand out as being so different. The colours are going to complement each other but really stand out, hopefully. I do love this stamp. It's my absolute hands down favourite. And with the detail on this stamp, I am hoping that the resin picks up every nook and cranny. The cat I just completely covered in the silver metallic colour from Let's Resin, and I took off the top with tape. That's all I did to that one, because it's going to get a black background, so I figured you'd see the black through. So now it's time for the resin pour, and I'm going to be using the Vista Colour Black for the black background. It's my go-to black, it's amazing. And of course I'm using Let's Resin, but this time I'm using the Fast Cure. I love Fast Cure, anything that's quick and easy, it's great for me. Now I was thinking to start with that I would pour a thin coat around the stamps and let it cure up so that it would hold the stamps down in place. But I'd made far too much resin for that. So I decided to just go for it and hope that they didn't float. So once I'd gone round the outside with a micro brush to get rid of any stuck bubbles, then I completely filled them up. I did squirt them with isopropanol alcohol to try and help the resin get into all the really tight detail on these stamps. And that did make some of the pigment float into the black resin. It was going to be the back of the coasters, so it didn't matter. And actually it looks really quite cool, to be honest with you, especially when you squirt it with more isopropanol alcohol. Gave them a good squirt with isopropanol alcohol and left them to cure. I did actually leave these till the following day to demould, although I didn't need to, but I was excited to see what they came out like. I kept checking the back to see if they'd lifted. This one is my favourite stamp, and it looks like it hasn't lifted at all. I'm sorry it's slightly out of shot, but I didn't know how easy this rubber stamp would come out of resin, and I was working in a very small area because I had other products going on as well. I didn't want to ruin the stamp, but once I'd levered it up a little on the corner, it actually came out really easily, and all the detail of the colour just stayed in that resin, and I was so happy. Absolutely beautiful. There was some flashing around the edge that needed to be shaved off, and some of the bronze colour had gone into the black around the edge, which I weren't keen on, but I dealt with that later. And the squirrel did sink a little, or float rather. It did float quite a bit into the resin, but only on one corner, and it was a little bit of resin to get out, but that was it really. It still came out very nicely. It's a gorgeous squirrel, and look at that red, that ghost red is gorgeous. The butterfly again sat nicely in the resin, didn't float. Again, a little bit of flashing around the outside edge, but nothing to really write home about. And although the colours are a little muted in this, I still think it's gorgeous. And the last one, the cat, that was just silver. I don't quite know what that bit is. I think it's a feather. It's like an extra bit of the stamp. It's a little difficult to get out. But all the stamps come out beautifully. They do warp a little though. They're not exactly flat after putting them in resin. And it's absolutely gorgeous. The 3D effect of these stamps in resin is stunning. And then I had an idea. Now I had the perfect area to pour silicone, and I could make my own inlays. So before I finished these pieces, I made several inlays of each design. I filled them up with silicone, and 6 hours later I could demould them. And again, I had no clue whether the resin would pick up all the details, whether it would actually take the colour off, to be honest. But 6 hours later, and we've got a gorgeous silicone inlay that we can use whenever we want. Exactly a copy of the rubber, now curled stamp. So I did actually buy these stamps for this process. I don't use stamps generally, so I wouldn't know how to fix a curled rubber stamp, and I'm presuming it's the heat from the resin that's done that to it. So it kind of ruins the stamps that you have. So if you're going to try this, I do suggest buying stamps specifically for resin so that you don't ruin your normal stamping stamps, but you do get a silicone inlay out of it. Now, once I'd actually poured silicone into these pieces, they ended up with quite a lot of silicone spill around the outside edge, and I didn't think a top coat of resin would stick. So I sanded them all down, and I used black paint to cover the fronts. I've covered the backs with liquid latex, and I've etched round the sides and the edge of the inlays with Decor Colour Premium markers in silver and in copper for the horse. And they're all ready to be completely flood coated. But I am wondering whether I should do that to the cat. I think the 3D effect of these inlays is beyond anything that I've seen before. And I do think that top coating them or completely smothering them in resin is going to ruin that effect. But I kind of committed myself to do it. So that's what I do. I just cover them completely in a clear top coat of resin, letting it go over the edges. And as I've got the liquid latex on the back, I could peel off any drips from the back anyway. I was going to try and stop it so it didn't go over the edges, but as I'd sanded down the edges to make them rounded, the resin will naturally flow over an edge. So although I gave it a little try, I knew it weren't going to work. And I just thought, well, I've got it already, I'll flood coat them, completely cover them. And yeah, you might be thinking, hold on a minute, did you say you painted them black? I said, yes, I did. I sanded them down. I could have taken them back and given them a really nice high shine, but time wasn't with me, as I'd used them for a few days making silicone inlays. So 24 hours later, and I've finished my coaster type inlay patterns. I've put felt on the back, and I absolutely love the results. I think they are stunning, and now I've got my silicone inlays for myself, I can use these on any piece that I want. I'm so glad I tried these rubber stamps. I now know that I can get rubber stamps and use them as inlays and then make my own inlays from them. Now, I'm not a paper craft person, and so I don't have any stamps. I literally had to buy some to try this. But I wonder how many people out there using resin have rubber stamps thinking, oh, I could try that, oh, I could try that. It's just an amazing idea. Now, as I said, I have searched, and there are a couple of other people on YouTube using rubber stamps. I didn't know that before I started, but I thought I'd carry on and show you this anyway. And I got silicone inlays out of it. Bonus. But I am questioning whether I should have top coated or not. What do you think? Do you think it would have looked better to keep it without a top coat? and just leave it as an inserted into the resin? Let me know in the comments section below. I'd like to know your opinion of whether they should have been top coated or not. So thanks for watching this one. I hope you've enjoyed it. Come back and see me next week, because you never know what I'm going to be up to. I never know what I'm going to be up to. Have a great week. Happy crafting, and bye for now.